Welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specializing in the wedding industry. Each week, we'll explore the strategies, stories, and insider tips that help wedding professionals thrive. You'll hear solo episodes filled with actionable advice for social media and inspiring conversations with esteemed wedding industry guests. Thank you for tuning in and letting this podcast be a part of your day. Let's get started. Welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. If this is your first time here, wow, how'd I get you to click the first time? This is exciting. My name is Nina Adio. I do social media marketing for wedding industry professionals. And on this podcast, I like to either myself or with an industry guest give you some really tangible marketing tips for your wedding business. We keep it all wedding industry specific here. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you get to see the AI background I just made through Zoom. I was looking for a virtual background and they said create one with AI. So I typed in I wanted one that had white, rose gold and light green, and I have to say I do like what it came up with. So if you're watching on YouTube, you will get to see that. So this episode I'm recording after attending the American Bridal Consultants Association's World of Wedding Events in New Orleans. It's an annual event. The ABC, as they're known, they're celebrating their 70th anniversary. So amazing. And getting to teach there, I did a breakout session all about using social media as part of your sales team, and that was incredible. But what was really incredible was seeing the long-standing members. Many have been a part of ABC since they started their wedding business. We're talking 20 years, 30 years even, and some are brand new. And this is an annual event, and many appear to attend every year. Next year's location is in Cancun. They're very excited. It's all inclusive. I am too. I'm debating, being a member myself and attending, because you don't just have to be a wedding planner. It can be for any type of vendor. We had photographers there and venue owners, and the education was really great. The camaraderie was really great. And seeing people come together, they all seem to know each other, and to view this as a great support in their business. So I did want to mention ABC. If you're not familiar, it's ABC Assoc on Instagram, ASSOS. OC. ABC Assoc, okay, shortened for association. Find them on Instagram. Check out their programming. I thought it was a terrific experience. So I wanted to share it. But for today's episode, I wanted to talk about a success metric that perhaps we're not considering. I don't think it comes up when people talk about success and what will make them successful and why they are successful. I think this gets left out. And it's something that, particularly for this podcast, is part of my success metrics. And that is consistency. This podcast, it's been 4 or 5 years now. And what's made it now an industry recognized podcast is the fact that I kept doing it. It wasn't perfect when I started. Still not. If I waited until it was perfect, it wouldn't be here. I either would have never done it or would have stopped doing it. And the fact that I kept showing up, I kept building. Now I have this whole content library of marketing material that I can give to people for free. I can use it to network with other wedding industry professionals for free, right? It's just a time exchange that we do. And it's all because I kept doing it. Because there are thousands who have started a podcast and then stopped podcasting. But the fact that I kept doing it is what made this podcast what I consider a success today. So in order to do that, I recorded episodes pretty consistently. We were going with weekly. I would take breaks now and then. I delivered the value even before it was established or before anyone was listening, before I even had guests. And then eventually I kind of had to catch up with the podcast. So the podcast was something that to others is a cool thing. They go, "Oh, you have a podcast. I'd love to be on it." Right. But I was in my imposter syndrome or just in the reality, the insecurity of, I have a podcast, so I just recorded over Zoom. I have my virtual background or just my apartment background. I don't have any professional mics, or I mean, I have a mic that I bought, but it's not like one of those cool mics, and I felt embarrassed to invite people on. And over time, I realized that I was probably offending people by not asking them instead of what I thought, which was offending them by asking them. I thought I was asking them to do something beneath them. So eventually I caught up with the podcast and realized, all right, this is a really cool thing I have. How can I lean into it more? How can I use it? And a lot of it is overcoming the fear of, once everything is perfect, then I'll launch this program, then I'll do this service, then I'll have my website, then I'll post on social media. So perfectionism for some can be a procrastination tool, which is something that can block you from consistency. So I would look into that, right? You don't want to be another one of those wedding industry professionals with an abandoned social media platform, an abandoned funnel, an abandoned blog, right? Because couples, if they do find you now, they'll see that. They'll see that. When I said if they do find you now, it reminded me of this funny moment that happened at EBC, and Fausto Pafaria was speaking, and he was saying how, he'll get those SEO pitches from people and they'll say, "Oh, your SEO is bad. It could be better." And he responds and goes, "Well, you found me." And I thought that was a hilarious response. I just thought that was great. Those on YouTube, this is one of I took a break to just sip some water from my Wicked Stanley Cup. This year I went all in on the Wicked Stanleys. Last year for the first Wicked movie, it was all about the Wicked Starbucks cups, but now we did the Stanleys. So how could we take this metric and this success and consistency to our business and our social media? So being consistent on social media is part of the puzzle, part of the piece, right? Consistency teaches the algorithm who you are. They want to see again and again what you're posting about. They want to see who's engaging with it, and so forth. So it's an algorithm tool. Posting consistently builds trust with couples. They're able to learn who you are again and again, especially when comparing multiple vendors, or maybe you're able to get to them before they even need to book because you've been posting and it's been showing up in their location and area. It shows reliability. This was particularly important after COVID, and not even reliability, but just that you're still in business, you're still active, right? So when you see somebody's last post, this is years ago, but if it was 2022 and they haven't posted since 2020, then you have to go, you just don't assume it was just an abandoned social media strategy. You assume they may not even be in business anymore. So that's why, even if it's something as little as once a month, you want people to see that you're there and you're posting. So in an industry with high money exchanges, right? Typically our services are a lot of money at the entry point. So you need to build that trust, and consistency can really help you do that. And it can be hard to post consistently when we're putting pressure on ourselves that every post has to be viral, trending, all these things. But what really moves the needle, viral trends support getting people to your page. So I'm not saying not to do them, but I find what happens is the viral posts or the reels will bring people to your page, but it's those consistent posts, maybe your portfolio images, real works, real weddings. That's what converts. That's what gets people to go, "Let me go to their website. I think I want to work with them."
And by posting consistently, it increases the odds that we're able to meet couples on their timeline, not ours, right? Just because I want to be booking right now doesn't mean couples are actually booking right now. So if you create a content strategy, that means you are consistently posting every week, you've increased those odds to hit the couples when they are actually ready to book. So, what are some other ways you could be consistent in your business? And that can be through your vendor relationships. I think what I learned at ABC is that this was the consistency for a lot of these business owners, and that even if their year didn't go as planned, this was like their new year. And there were a lot of people there who had life get in the way, but they were still passionate for their business and essentially fighting for it. And they came to this conference saying, I'm not ready to give this up. I'm coming back. This is my strategy plan. So by consistently showing up every year or having this membership that they're a part of, it's almost that support system of them not being able to get up because they have that consistent network, that consistent New Year energy at this conference. And the more you can go to networking events, whether it's the bridal showcases for the venues that nobody wants to go to, right? We hate the wedding showcases, but that shows the consistency and the loyalty to the venue and the people who are putting you on their list. If you are not showing up, whether that's at events, whether that's touching base with vendors and venues, whether that's through social, email, talking to the directors of sales at the venues you work with, it's harder to be top of mind. To be visible, you need to be consistent in whatever that is for you. So I gave the example of social media. I gave the example of memberships in my podcast. But maybe consistency is that you do a quarterly checkup with your preferred vendors or people on your list. Maybe it's that you send a thank you note at the end of every year to people who referred you business. How are you keeping on top of mind for these people? How do you have consistency built into your business? And another way that there is consistency or resilience is with your follow up. So we know who's been a guest on the podcast, Alan Berg, is all about the high amount of follow ups. But what is your consistent follow up? Is it 3 times? Is it 5 times? And these are spread out. Do not follow up once a day for 5 days, please. I don't think that's the key. But follow up is where there is a huge gap in the industry. So being consistent with your follow ups is a huge opportunity and a huge, I think, brag and success metric if you can do it. Now, I've also had on the show Whitney and Daniela. They have a system, Lead Lock, that builds in follow-ups into your funnels and so forth. And it builds not only email follow-ups, but texting. So you can reach out to them at Wedding Industry Ads to learn more about Lead Lock. Or you can just think of your own ways that you're going to integrate that consistent follow-up into your business and your leads and believing in your ability. What can happen is they email 8 vendors in one shot and get really overwhelmed. So if you follow up in that initial week, but then again in 2 weeks, you could be getting them at just the right time. So consistency allows that time period to happen. And if you would like an episode where we talk about different follow up content and ideas and ways you can follow up, please comment or message me at I Do Wedding Marketing to let me know, and we can put that in the schedule. So why is consistency so important? It shows reliability. It shows proof of life of your business, right? It helps you to nurture your audience, and it helps you to kind of establish, this is who I am and this is where I am. For me and this podcast, by showing up for it, it allowed me to make this podcast something when it was nothing. And it's not even It's not even that much of a something now, right? It's just a podcast I record over Zoom. But for me, it has become a tool of connection and a value source that I can give to people. So it's been a really nice thing. But what we also have to keep in mind is how we're going to make this practical. So for me, it being practical was that there was no production, right? It didn't mean I had to go into a studio and batch record and schedule things of people coming in to record and things like that. If I did that, I wouldn't be able to maintain it. So I picked something that I could actually maintain. I did record ahead. I recorded ahead so much that guests got annoyed because they're like, where's my episode? So I did batch record. I batch record things that could be evergreen. So these are things that anybody can listen to at any time. I started using things that could be repeated. So that means my intro, that's copy and insert thing. I started to have formulas that I could use to make things easier. So having a template for my show notes and a template for our cover images and things like that. So where do you need consistency, or where can you celebrate that you've had consistency? And let's either celebrate that you've done it or create a tangible, realistic schedule for you to continue to be consistent. But already, if you're listening to this, that alone can be your consistency. You're showing up in your business. And I have this dream of being an author and writing books. Part of why I wanted to work for myself was in my mind, I thought, oh, I could then find time to write. That didn't happen. But I still listen to this same Writers Inc. podcast once a week and this YouTube channel educating writers. And to me, that's my way of showing up for it. That's my way of still committing to that dream and consistently showing up for that dream and keeping it a part of me. So even if all you're doing right now is listening to the podcast, I think you are winning. So if you enjoyed this episode, I would love if you would consider leaving us a review on Apple or Spotify or commenting on YouTube to say hello. It is the most wonderful time of the year for wedding pros. So now is the time to get on the books for full service social media or for one of our 90-minute recorded strategy calls. Those are best for people who want to implement their own social media with my strategy. So we do that 90-minute call together. It's $297. You record the call and you can use it however you want. It's yours to keep. You can share it with your team and start implementing so you can start the new year with a great social media presence. We also have a lot of sponsors of the podcast who share affiliate links and offers with us. If you go to idoweddingmarketing.com and click the resources tab, you will get to see all of those offers. Thanks for being here, guys, and I will see you next week on the next Wedding Wednesday.